Most businesses don't fail because the owner isn't working hard enough. They fail because the owner doesn't have a scalable checklist. Here's the truth. Hustle can get you to 6 figures or more, but hustle will not get you freedom or to the next level because you will cap yourself. Hustle creates a job, not a business. If you want growth that lasts, growth that doesn't crush your peace or your family, you need a checklist. So I've got 7 simple but powerful steps that make a business scalable. Miss even one and you'll always stay stuck. My name's Kyle White. I built businesses, I've owned over 100 properties, and I coach entrepreneurs and leaders. And I've seen it again and again. The ones who scale aren't the ones who hustle the hardest. They're the ones who build on the right checklist. And when you combine that with God's wisdom, you get growth and peace, not burnout. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through that checklist, and number 7 may be the most important. And by the way, if you want a free guide to help you, I put together a free resource. Check it out in the description. So the first and maybe the most exciting point on the checklist is this: delegation and defined roles. And here's why. Most entrepreneurs are stuck in what is called the UOS, the U operating system. Everything depends on you. Every decision, every customer, every fire, every approval. And that might work when you're small, but it's impossible to scale. You become the bottleneck, and the bigger you get, the heavier that weight becomes. I've seen business owners hire staff thinking it would free them, but because nothing was clearly defined, the team just came back to them for every single answer. More people, same problems, sometimes even worse. That's UOS. It looks like growth, but it's just more chaos. In the book of Acts in the Bible, the early church was actually growing very fast, and the apostles were overwhelmed trying to teach and distribute food fairly to the widows. They realized they couldn't do both very well, so they delegated. They chose 7 men, full of the spirit and wisdom, to oversee the daily distribution. This freed the apostles to focus on prayer and the ministry of the word. The result? Verse 7 says, the word of the gospel spread. The number of disciples in Jerusalem increased rapidly. Here's the key lesson. Growth creates complexity. Without delegation, your mission is going to suffer. With delegation, your mission is going to accelerate. Think about it like a quarterback on a football team, trying to block, throw, catch, and run every single play. It doesn't matter how talented they are, they're never going to win alone. You don't scale by being the hero, you scale by building the team. And here's how you do this. You define the roles. Even if you're small, write down the key roles in your business: sales, operations, marketing, finance, customer service. Then you ask, which ones am I carrying? Which ones could someone else own? Number 2, delegate responsibility, not just tasks. Don't just say, do this project. Give people ownership of outcomes. Let them win, let them fail, let them grow. Number 3, create a simple organization chart. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a 1-page map of showing who's responsible for what. This one exercise alone can clear up 80% of confusion. So if you're gonna be the bottleneck, you can't scale. The first item on the checklist is shifting from UOS to a scalable OS, a scalable operating system, by delegating and defining roles. That's how you free yourself from carrying everything. That's how you unlock growth without exhaustion. And once you've freed yourself from being the bottleneck, the next step is just as critical. You need to have a clear mission and values so your team knows where they're headed without you micromanaging every single move they make. Without mission and values, your business might move fast, but it won't move in the right direction. Mission answers why you exist. Values define how you operate. Without them, you'll drift and your team will guess what matters. Think about it like taking a road trip without a GPS. You're moving, but half the time you're lost. Mission is the destination. Values are the rules of the road. Here's a practical step for you to put this into perspective. Write down a 1-sentence mission statement. Number 2, choose 3 to 5 core values, the things that you stand for. Number 3, filter every decision through those things. And Colossians 3:23 teaches us this. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as if you're working for the Lord. Because with clear mission and values, you lead with clarity, your team aligns, and customers are going to trust you. And once you have your mission and your values nailed down, the next checklist item is what makes growth repeatable. Documented systems and processes. Because if your system isn't repeatable, it isn't scalable. Now, I completely understand this as a business coach. When I start talking about documenting system and processes, people's minds explode and they run away from myths. But here's the truth. You cannot scale chaos. When everything lives in your head, growth just multiplies confusion. You may be able to wing it at the start, but when more clients, more staff, and more complexity shows up, the cracks are going to spread fast. Think about it like baking bread with a recipe versus without one. Without a recipe, every loaf turns out different. With a recipe, anyone can follow the steps and get consistent results. Start small. Document your 3 most repeatable tasks, like onboarding a client, choosing a sale, or delivering your product. Number 2, and extremely important, use AI tools to make this easier. This has never been easier in the history of humankind to create these processes and these systems. You have AI record your process, transcribe your steps, and even generate standard operating procedures in minutes instead of hours or days that would take you and your team to do this. Number 3, you build a simple library. Store your processes in one shared folder or platform so your team can access it anytime. When you have this in place, let's just say when your employees get sick, somebody else can easily step in and know their role because it's all systemized and documented. When your system builds on systems instead of memory, growth stops feeling like chaos and it starts feeling like control. The fourth item on the checklist is scorecards and metrics. You can't scale what you don't measure. Most entrepreneurs fly blind. They look at the bank account balance and assume that's the health of their business. But real growth requires real numbers, the kind you can track, review, and act on. Without a scorecard, you're like a driver with no dashboard. You don't know if you're low on fuel, overheating, or overspeeding until it's too late. So you need to pick 5 to 7 key metrics that tell the truth about your business. Here's examples. Leads are coming in, your conversions, your profit margin, customer satisfaction, your cash reserves. You need to review these weekly. Don't just look at them. Decide what adjustments need to be made. Share the numbers with your team so everyone rows in the same direction. When you measure what matters, you take control of your growth. Numbers don't replace faith, but they help you steward what God has entrusted to you. With scorecards in place, you move from being guessing to knowing, and that confidence fuels scalable growth. The fifth item on the checklist is financial stewardship. Here's the truth. Most businesses don't go under because of a lack of revenue. They go under because of a lack of stewardship. Luke 16:10 says it like this: whoever you trust with very little can also be trusted with much. Scaling starts with handling what you already have. That means knowing exactly what money is coming in and what money is going out. Not once a year, not just at tax time, but consistently every single month at a minimum. And this is why it matters. When you don't watch the numbers, waste creeps in, subscriptions stack up, expenses are going to balloon on you. Lifestyle grows faster than profit. And before long, you're working harder than ever, but keeping less and less of it. Money is like a river. Without banks, it floods everywhere and causes damage. With clear banks, the river flows in the right direction and it produces life. Stewardship builds those banks. So here's what you need to do. You need to review your income and your expenses at least once a month. Don't just look at the bank balance, read the reports. Cut what doesn't align with your mission or your margin. Every dollar saved is a dollar gained. Pay yourself last, not first. Prioritize stewardship, savings, and generosity before your lifestyle. If numbers overwhelm you, then you hire a bookkeeper, but still review the reports. You need to be on top of this. Outsource the work, but not the awareness. Financial stewardship isn't just about managing money. It's about honoring God with what He's entrusted to you. When you know your numbers, control your spending, and stay diligent about both inflows and outflows, you create margin. And margin gives you peace, resilience, and the ability to grow without fear. While number 7 may seem the most practical that you're going to learn about in a second, number 6 is probably the most important. Because the 6th item on the checklist is spiritual stewardship. Here's the reality. You have the best systems, the strongest team, and the healthiest profit margin, but if God isn't at the center of it, it won't last. But Matthew 6:33 says it like this: but seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you. Scaling God's way means your business isn't just a vehicle for income. It's a calling. And stewarding it spiritually is what keeps you aligned when pressure hits. This is what it looks like. Tithing, giving first, not last. It's a declaration that God owns it all and that He's the CEO of your company. Prayerful decisions. Don't run in just numbers. Pray over every major move, hiring, expansion, partnerships. Rhythms of rest. Sabbath isn't a weakness, it's worship. Taking a day off reminds you that business runs on His strength, not yours. Gratitude and generosity. Thank God for the provision, then release to bless others. The more you give, the more you guard your heart against greed. I truly believe that you've been blessed to be a blessing. Just never forget that. Think of your business like a boardroom. Someone has to sit in the CEO chair. If it's you, you'll carry the pressure you weren't built for. If it's God, you carry peace instead. Spiritual stewardship in your business is about sliding out the CEO chair and letting God sit in it. So start your meetings with prayer. Build generosity into the budget. Schedule Sabbath like an appointment you're never going to break. And ask regularly, am I running the business or is God leading it? Here's the point. Spiritual stewardship isn't just another item on the checklist. It's the glue that holds the entire checklist together. When God is at the center, your systems have purpose, your money has direction, and your leadership has peace. And number 7 is where a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners fail. They have systems, they have a team, they're running things, but they fail to have great leadership from the top. Because here's the truth. Your business will never rise higher than your leadership. If you want your team to live with excellence, you have to model it. If you want your culture to be strong, you have to set the tone. If you want customers to feel cared for, it starts with how you lead the people who serve them. Leadership is multiplication. Your character multiplies through your team, and your team multiplies into the customer experience. If you cut corners, your team will too. If you treat people like numbers, your customers will feel it. If you lead with integrity and vision, it shows up everywhere. 1 Timothy 4:12 says, set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. That is leadership. Leaders are thermostats. They're not thermometers. A thermometer just reflects temperature. A thermostat sets it. You need to set the temperature. Your leadership sets the temperature of the business. You can have passion, integrity, service, and excellence. Or you can have burnout, fear, and shortcuts. Which one do you prefer? So the first step in doing this is you need to lead yourself first. Guard your habits, your rhythms, your time with God. You can't pour from an empty cup. Number 2, you need to communicate your vision clearly. Remind your team where you're going and why it matters. Number 3, develop people. Don't just delegate tasks. Invest in growing leaders underneath you. And number 4, stay accountable. Surround yourself with mentors and peers who will call you higher. Challenge yourself. Here's the point. Leadership from the top isn't about charisma or titles. It's about modeling the mission, living the values, and setting the tone for everything that follows. When you lead with integrity, courage, and faith, your team thrives, your customers feel it, and your business reflects God's excellence in this world. Because here's the bottom line. Businesses don't scale by accident. They scale because the owner runs the right checklist. Delegation, mission, systems, scorecards, financial stewardship, spiritual stewardship, and leadership from the top. You miss one, growth is going to stall. You put them all together, and you build with something that lasts, not just a business, but a legacy. And if you're ready to take this to the next step, grab my free guide, The 12 Laws of Faith-Driven Success. It's short, practical, and rooted in scripture. Just check out the link in the description below. And don't miss the next video because we're diving deep in how to avoid burnout in your business.